Why can't we catch these people? Is it because we don't want to catch these people and they're not important? And in that case, do we punish the victims by jailing them? It's almost like saying we're punishing the drug users and not the dealers. And that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to stop people coming over because the demand is still there and the supply is still there.
A record-breaking number of illegal migrants have crossed the English Channel and reached our shores so far this year. We've already passed the total for 2020, with more than 5 months still left of this year.
Yesterday alone, 287 migrants succeeded in reaching the UK, bringing the total so far for 2021 to over 8,400.
The record-breaking figures have prompted the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, and her French opposite number to agree doubling the number of French police patrols in the Channel.
With us now to talk about the migrant crisis in the UK is immigration lawyer Harjap Bhangal. Hello there, Harjap. Nice to see you again. We've paid French police £54 million to increase patrols of beaches in northern France. Is it likely to do any good?
Probably not, is the short answer, because this is not the first time. We've paid them last year as well, some of significant millions in euros, and we haven't seen a change. These traffickers are about 8 steps ahead of the government and of Interpol and the police. They've been doing this for years. They're so confident. They've been using the same methods and the same ports. We all know where they get on from, where they send the migrants from, and we all know where they end up, on the Kent coast. And yet, for some reason, for the past 20-odd years, we seem incapable of stopping them. Incapable or unwilling, there seems to be. So we can't work out which of the two it is. It might be a mixture of the two, but there just doesn't seem to be enough investment into stopping these gangs. And these gangs have become so organized now that they just move up the coast slightly and they just do the same thing. So if the French do patrol an area of the coast, it's impossible to control the whole coast, then the gangs will just move up and will just change the destination a little bit to the side as well and carry on doing it. We've seen that there's absolutely been no deterrent so far in relation to this.
But Harjap, I was talking to you yesterday, and there was a huge viewer response, actually, because you described the process from the moment that and they are victims of traffickers, these people who come over, and the perception from this point of view is that they're not victims, that they are trying to abuse a system. And it's probably worth you just repeating how that process works. From the moment they're ensnared by these traffickers, what happens and how do they end up where we are seeing them end up today, and what happens to them next?
Let's talk about a typical journey from Asia. So to say what happens. Usually there's a flight that comes into Moscow, and from Moscow, the traffickers pick them up. They will pick them up and they will put them in a lorry, or even in cars or by foot sometimes, and they will take them across the border to the Slovak Republic, where they cross the border into Austria. From there, they're dispersed, almost like a hydra, a headed snake, and they're sent to all over Europe: Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Belgium, all the way up. So from there, they're put into groups. They're kept clandestine because they don't want anyone, the traffickers don't want anyone raising an alarm. If you do raise an alarm, you're a threat, you'll probably get killed. A lot of people get killed on the way, and their stories are not told. You're kept in jungles, in forests, in huts. You eat what you're given to do. You're told when to go to the toilet, usually in the same place where other people are staying. Sometimes you'd have to do it in the lorry. You're told not to speak to anyone. You're not allowed out. You're let out at a final destination. Now, that's the way they're trafficked. There's no hiding that. There's nothing, I'm not telling you this is something special and everyone else does it differently. That is the bottom line. They don't, without a visa or passport, get a plane and come and land in France. They don't manage to cross borders like that, because we know we can't cross borders like that. So how are they going to cross borders like that in big groups? They are trafficked, and in on it are usually border staff, police people. The gangs have bribed these people into their secure routes until they reach a point where they're dispersed, and then the gangs will send some of them into the UK. Maybe because some of them requested to be there because they feel they're safer there. There's a community already here in the UK. Their friends and family might already be here. Or maybe that's just because that's where that specific group is going. The migrant gangs, traffickers, they won't just leave them all in, say, Barcelona, or they won't just leave them all in Rome. Or people seem to think that, oh, if they've crossed the border into Austria or Germany, then that's where they should stay. These people don't have a chance, because if the gang started leaving thousands and thousands of people at one destination, they'd get caught. In order to avoid detection, their crime has to be widespread. And this is why they can't get caught. And the only people that do get caught, the very few that do get caught in comparison to drug smugglers, they're just the bottom four guys, like the lorry drivers, the guys who perhaps might be driving a boat. The real leaders of these gangs, they're stuck, or they're based in countries where there's no extradition. And it's like a mafia. The bottom guys are replaceable, and their business still continues. So until that real, the head is cut off, snake, as to say, these gangs will still be operating. And they're so confident that they just change the routes. They know how to get these people through, and we've seen it. They're managing to do that. It's not the choice of a migrant. He doesn't get a menu card when he reaches Moscow. I think I'll go to Paris. I think I'll go to Denmark. It's not like that. I know people think it's like that. It's not like that. And other gangs, especially Chinese gangs, smuggler gangs, they actually hold a family member hostage. And once a person releases a destination and the payment is made, then they say, right, okay, we won't kill this person. That is the reality of people trafficking. And now we have to understand, and a lot of the viewers have to understand, there's more money made in people trafficking than drug trafficking. And yet every week we hear about drug smugglers getting caught, the war on drugs. We see a series about it online, and films are made about it. When do we actually hear about a people smuggling gang get caught in this proportion to drug smugglers? And we hardly ever see. I think only last year I remember that one. I think the lorry driver, the Tilbury one, being in court. I mean, apart from that, off your head, can you name any? I can't, and I do this for I'm in immigration for a living, so I can't name that. Therefore, the unwillingness or the incapability question sort of comes into it. Why can't we catch these people? Is it because we don't want to catch these people and they're not important? And in that case, do we punish the victims by jailing them? It's almost like saying we're punishing the drug users and not the dealers. And that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to stop people coming over, because the demand is still there and the supply is still there.
If it was so easy to disrupt the massively organised level of crime that is going on, then surely politicians would do it. Why is it so difficult? It appears to be impossible to disrupt these gangs. Or is there just not the will to do it?
Well, if not politicians, the police as well. The crime agencies around the world need to act on this, don't they?
I just don't think it's a priority for people. I don't think it's a priority for people, for governments. I think there's so much money involved here, and we're talking billions and billions, of pounds. We wouldn't even know how many zeros goes into it. That's how much money is involved. That the gangs are so sophisticated. They've been allowed to develop over the time. We haven't really bothered about it for the past 20 years, and they've developed such a streamlined system that they're impossible to topple. And unless you cooperate, every single country's police cooperates, and that's a problem as well. And, you have to have good relationships with your neighbours and police. And that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. Or to actually say, well, hold on, we're not going to be able to stop this. So let's develop some sort of alternative where these people won't feel they have to cross in a dinghy, or will offer to process their claims, say, in France, where we can do that. And that will deter them coming over. But ultimately, while these gangs are operating, the gangs will find a way. They'll just cut their rates and make things cheaper. For them, it's a numbers game. It's all about getting the numbers on the dinghies, all about getting the numbers into the UK. Every number that succeeds is a bundle of cash to them. And that's the way it is. And I just think until the whole world wakes up and realize what is the root problem, why are people leaving, why are they crossing the countries? Why are they going in these routes? How can someone get from Moscow or from Russia all the way? Because if you're coming from Iraq, that's the route you're taking. How can I get from there to France without being checked, without being arrested, without being fingerprinted? You couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Yet these people in groups of 30 and 40 are doing it. And that just defies belief.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.